Are you thinking about leaving teaching? If so, you are not alone. According to Forbes, 48% of teachers have thought about leaving the profession in the last 30 days. Of that number of teachers, 34% of them said they were thinking about leaving the profession entirely. What do you need to think about if you are ready to leave the profession and transition out of the classroom? Today, I'm going to give you a checklist of the 5 most important things you should immediately do if you are considering transitioning from the classroom to working at an education company or a technology company. I'm Carrie Conover, and I've been in education for 22 years. I went from working for a nonprofit, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, to teaching for 10 years in Chicago Public Schools, to rising as an ed tech leader working for 2 different education companies, eSpark Learning and Discovery Education. And today I am the founder and CEO of Educators to Educators. In this video, I'm going to tell you the first 5 steps you need to take to get started down the path of transitioning out of the classroom and to the boardroom. First, I must make this disclaimer. I feel like I always need to say this, although I've never actually had anyone question me about this. I want teachers to stay in teaching. That is my hope and dream. That's the whole reason I built Educators to Educators, is to help teachers through professional development and self-care and wellness and lifting up the voices of amazing teachers. I want teachers to stay in the classroom, but I also realize there are teachers that are just like me. Teachers who, after 10 years of teaching, giving my heart and soul, I needed something more. I needed more of a challenge. I needed to spread my wings. Some of you may be just completely exhausted from the pandemic and you're done. Some of you may be just thinking about leaving. What could that look like? And some of you just want to help other teachers in a bigger way. If teachers are going to leave the classroom, I try as hard as I can to guide them to stay in the field of education somehow, by working for a nonprofit, a university, or an education company, or an ed tech company. Over the last year, I've helped teachers land jobs at places like Dell, eSpark Learning, Discovery Education, Scholastic, Edpuzzle. By working side by side with teachers, I've learned so much about what it takes to make this transition out of teaching. Let's get started with the first 5 things I think every teacher should do if they have made the decision to leave teaching. Number 1, give yourself permission to leave. The guilt of leaving teaching is real. You may have grown up your entire life dreaming of becoming a teacher. I could remember being in middle school and still playing school secretly in the basement. So I can relate to how painful of a decision it can be to realize that teaching may not be what you thought it was going to be, or if teaching is just not fulfilling you anymore. I want you to do the work to really dig deep and decide if this is what you truly want. This decision may not be super clear to you right now. It may be something that you really need to dig and reflect and journal about and talk to your friends about. You may have to sit on it for days, weeks, months, and even years. That is all normal. Everyone's timeline is different. But once you do make the decision to leave, I want you to write yourself a permission slip and sign it confidently. That permission slip needs to give you permission to take control of your career and do what makes you happy. Believe me when I say this, you will know if and when it is time to leave. You will know. You just need to dig deep and do some reflecting. Number 2, look hard and long at your finances. I want to have a really honest conversation with you about finances. Number 2, this topic can be something that can be a sensitive subject for a lot of educators. And you need to make sure you are financially in a place to leave your current job. If you have a massive amount of debt or credit card bills piling up on you, now may not be the time to leave teaching. In many instances, you are going to have to invest in this transition by hiring a coach or joining a program like Classroom to Boardroom. You're going to have to invest in this change. You may need to pay someone to help you with your cover letter and your resume. And you may need to upskill and take a few courses if you want to change. But the truth is, when you go from teaching to education or ed tech, you may have to take a pay cut. I took a slight pay cut. Now, it paid off big time in the end, but I did take a little bit of a pay cut. So especially if you are a teacher that's been teaching for a while, you may be making better money than you realize. And when you transition into working for an ed tech company or a technology company or out of teaching, you might have to start with an entry-level job, which, by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with entry-level jobs. That's where everyone needs to begin to build that skill set up. So I want you to know that if you are stressed every night about money, the answer is not, let's go get a job at an ed tech company. Now, can you make more great money over time? Yes, you can, but it's not going to solve those problems right now. So if you are in a lot of financial debt, I would sit down and come up with a plan of how over maybe the next year you can work yourself out of that debt or pay off those credit cards so that then you can come into this experience of wanting to transition with a clear heart and mind. One thing that can be confusing for teachers is around retirement and pension. I get a lot of messages or comments on LinkedIn about this topic, which, by the way, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, please do so. I share lots of free content and wisdom in that community over on LinkedIn. So you can find me right here. Go find me on LinkedIn. So I get questions about retirement and pension, and I will not give specific advice on this topic, but I strongly suggest that you go talk to a financial advisor in your state that understands your education or teacher pension. I strongly suggest you talk to a financial planner in your state because they are going to understand your state or region's pension system. For me, I'm in Illinois, and so I had no problem walking away from teaching and my pension, and now when I worked at the companies I worked for, I contributed to a 401k, and now as an entrepreneur, I plan for my retirement through 401k savings, and that'll all work out in the end because I will still get the pension that I paid into in my 10 years of teaching. Now, again, I am not a financial planner. You need to speak to someone that understands the pension for teachers where you live. The third thing you must immediately do is create a LinkedIn profile. Later on this channel, I'm going to be sharing out tips about LinkedIn to help you out. But let me just say this. If you're serious about making a name for yourself and getting out there and trying to get a job at an education company, you need to forget Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for now. LinkedIn is where it is at for teachers on the hunt for a new job. So I want you to go over and create a LinkedIn profile immediately. Throw up a professional picture, the most professional picture you can find, and I want you to just create the account. You can follow me, connect with me. I don't care what your, profile looks like right now. And just start connecting on there with other educators, friends, acquaintances, your neighbor's husband. Just connect with people that you know. Make sure to follow me for tips and guidance on how to really embed yourself in the teacher community on LinkedIn. But I want to give you this big tip for right now. Please do not get caught up in the brand yourself on LinkedIn movement that you might see out there. The 90 days of branding or the 30 days of branding. Your job on those first 30 days on LinkedIn is just get the profile set up and start connecting with people that already know you. Then you can start thinking about the image and the message you want to send on LinkedIn. I often see teachers get caught up in the urge to brand themselves and make these really bold, amazing posts. And right now, that's not a good use of your time. Right now, you should be building community and connecting. More on that later in a different video, though. So you have the first step, which is give yourself permission to leave. The second step, which is to look hard and long at your finances to see if now is the right time to make this move. Then the third thing is go create that LinkedIn profile. The fourth thing is to start connecting with teachers that have made transitions themselves. I've been blessed to help teachers, many teachers over the last year, as I said, work at places like Dell, Scholastic, Edpuzzle, eSpark, Discovery Ed, Dream Places, and they came out of the classroom, joined Classroom to Boardroom, my course, and they are now working in those companies. I'm going to put the list of a couple of those people down below, so make sure you check the links below so you can connect with them on LinkedIn. They often post, and you can research like what they're up to. Just follow them and connect with them and research where they work. Engage with their content and post. And, comment on their post, how much you like their post, or ask them questions on their post. Don't necessarily go and blow up their private messages on LinkedIn, but friend request them or connect with them is what they call it on LinkedIn, and start liking and commenting on their content. And the fifth thing that I want you to do as you're heading out of the classroom into a new role is to find a community. I want you to find a community, and I will say, I think Classroom to Boardroom is the best community out there for this, and I think that many people would agree. The students that are currently part of E2E's Classroom to Boardroom would agree. But you want to find a community that's going to teach you, help you upskill, inspire you, and that has a leader that has been through this transition before. And that leader aligns with your values. So if you think about a course like Classroom to Boardroom, every module teaches you about, what the realities are to work in ed tech. What are all the different types of jobs? I know this because I made the transition myself. I'm going to show you the comparisons and the parallels between working in a school and a classroom and working at a company. I then deep dive module by module into all the various roles and teach you about those roles and teach you how to be ready to interview and onboard into those roles. That is what makes Classroom to Boardroom so special, is that I really teach you the skills you need to know to onboard easily into those roles. I'm going to help you upskill. I'm going to tell you what tools you should learn. I'm going to give you lots of inspiration, and the community is going to give you lots of inspiration. So whether you join Classroom to Boardroom or you find another community, you need the community of people that are going to inspire you, the people that are a few steps ahead of you in the process. And I want you to find a leader. Whoever's leading whatever group you join, make sure that they have values that are the same as yours, and that most importantly, I beg of you, that they have made the transition themselves. They worked as a teacher, and now they are working, and they have a strong work history working at ed tech companies. So if you are thinking about making this transition into the classroom, I just want to inspire you right now and tell you, you can do it. You can do it. I have so many people texting me. My phone, I'm surprised, wasn't blowing up while I was taping this, but all day long I get texts from Classroom to Boardroom graduates who are so happy and they have found happiness in their careers again. Until next time, my friends, keep teaching, keep learning, keep growing, and I hope to help you go from the classroom to the boardroom.